Hello and welcome back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Let's Talk Arsenal series, our twice weekly show on a Tuesday and Friday, where you guys in the chat box are the main focus. You guys dictate the show, the conversation flows how you wish, and we discuss all of the in-depth Arsenal topics, from the what's going on the pitch to what's going on your Twitter feeds. So let's crack on with today's Today's show. Oh, live broadcasts. Mainsley is the man that we are going to discuss today. Yes, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, a.k.a. our resident mascot, Mainsley, is close to leaving from the sounds of things. He's very, very close to moving out of Arsenal, and we could see an end. I mean, it seems that whoever I make emojis for now, they leave, which means Partey is going to be gone soon, and Xhaka is going to be gone soon, which I know plenty of people will be happy about. But yeah, we're gonna talk about the possible departure of Mainsley. We're going to talk about plenty of other stuff. Of course, there's been lots of social happenings. We kind of use this show to talk about a little bit of the controversy on Arsenal social media and get a little bit real about things as well. So if you've got a question, if you've got a topic, we're going to discuss it over the next 40 minutes or so. Slightly shorter show today because of stuff happening this evening. Before we do this week's sponsored prize. Thank you to Football Prizes, of course, for sponsoring Let's Talk Arsenal every single week. And this week we have sold out of the signed opportunity to win the Thierry Henry shirt. And at the halfway point of the show, about 20 minutes in, I will be revealing which one of our expert and TGT ambassadors have won the free entry into the competition where you could win a signed Thierry Henry shirt. We do a prize every single week through our sponsors, Football Prizes. Next week is retro. That's all I'm going to say. It's a little bit retro as far as I'm aware, unless they change their mind. So looking forward to that. But debts will be going live. The draw will be done at 8:30 on Football Prizes' Facebook page. So if you've bought a ticket, good luck. I wish you all the best. And tune in at 8:30 on their Facebook page. Go to their website at 7:30 to find out next week's prize, which we'll be discussing in Tuesday's show. But yes, that is that. So, Mainsley, I just want you to tell me in the chat box very, very simply, does he stay or does he go? For you, I want to know your opinion, your thoughts. Do you think that Ainsley Maitland-Niles, a.k.a. Mainsley, should be moved on by Arsenal, be it a loan deal, be it permanent? If it is a loan deal, what are the parameters behind that? I want to know what you guys are thinking. We had a chat with Kevin Campbell earlier on today. If you haven't checked out that show already, please make sure you do. We looked at the whole season so far, and Kev broke down all of his thoughts and feelings regarding that season. So let's get your thoughts in the chat box this evening regarding Mainsley. Agni says, loan him out to a Premier League team where he'll get minutes and then decide in the summer whether to sell him or not. AB says it depends on how much money we can get for him. Daniel Robert says he needs to go. He's almost 24 and has never really been a mainstay like Saka, and he's 5 years younger, pretty much. He is. He turns 24, I believe, this season. So it's he's not a youngster, it's probably fair to say about him anymore. Michael Velasquez says, I think it is best to sell him. Gary Hardy says, hopefully get some good money for him and then sign someone like Mitchell as a homegrown left-back cover. Mr. Joe Kerr says, loan him with an option and see how the land lies come June. Juan says he should go, play, be happy, and increase his value. Tom says just a basic loan deal is fine. Wolves were interested, so there's no point in locking a deal with just one club. I agree. There's plenty of interest from around lots of clubs. There's no point in locking out competition and a possible bidding war over the player in the summer. Ed says, sadly, time to go. He needs it, and he doesn't look good when he's out there at the moment. RY said, I would let him go. I think it's unfair on him. He isn't really first choice in any position, and he isn't really young anymore. Lewis says, needs game time alone will mean he will raise his value either in Arteta's mind or in the transfer market. And then it comes down to kind of, if we were to accept a bid for Mainsley, how much is he going to go for? He's been at the club for an incredibly long time, going through, of course, the youth academy. He's been on a number of loans. He went to Ipswich, where he did very, very well. He's come back and he started to play really, really well. He got on, of course, the FA. He didn't win it himself, but he was massively important in Arteta's kind of turnaround of form. At the start of his reign, going all the way through to winning the FA Cup. But prior to that, he was kind of a useful player under Unai Emery when Hector Bellerin was, of course, injured. He was our kind of deputy right back for a significant period of time as well. So he has been with us and been a good servant, but he's never really been able to get the opportunity to play where he at the park. And I just don't see a future for Mainsley at Arsenal in the central part of the midfield with the players that we've got there. And I've said that I think he's interesting to see him play next to a Thomas Partey, but to get that opportunity, he's going to need to play a fair few games and convince Arteta that's the best place for him. I'm just not sure whether or not he can convince Arteta. There's also supposedly been a couple of kind of disciplinary issues with turning up late to training, and of course there was always the old interview he did where he talked about saying that he wasn't a right back, wasn't a right midfielder or whatever, he wanted to play in central midfield and stuff like that. I don't buy too much into kind of thinking of him as a bad influence at all. I think he's a very good professional now, especially under Arteta and how he's changed kind of attitude. So I think ultimately that he is going to be someone, whoever he's at, is an asset, be it a first team player, a lower sort of lower in the table team side, or whether he's a utility player for us. Southampton's the ones that are being linked, along with West Brom and Newcastle, which do make sense. The Saints do certainly need some fullback cover, but he will not want to move to another club and know that he's just going to play at fullback again. He wants to play in midfield. And maybe a West Brom or a Newcastle can offer him a midfield position. He's also an England international. So if we can get a good fee for him, that would come into it. And him playing for England will certainly add to that fee. And wherever he ends up, Mainsley will always be a TGT hero and certainly someone that we will look fondly on and wish the best as he moves forward, as long as he's not playing against the Arsenal. Jashar says, Mainsley has disappointed me. I feel a lack of application is the issue to him, not currently reaching his potential. Marco says, that's not too bad, really, but he needs to be given chances in a position that is really suited to his best. Easy old Ed says 20 million seems reasonable, would be a good deal for us and whoever is buying him as well. RY says, could we ask for Diallo? I'm being hopeful. I think you're being very optimistic there, mate. Big Salt, maybe he's not a good trainer. Maybe that's why he's not being convinced by Mikel Arteta. Mr. Joe Kerr says, if he does leave permanently, Tom, he will be remembered far more favourably than most of our recent departures. He is worth 50 million plus without issue, and we need to be smarter buyers / sellers. Do you remember when we were in the summer and we were in a couple of discussions about Mainsley? And I remember there were people talking about him saying that you couldn't let him leave anything less than 30 million quid. 30 million pounds people were saying that we should be selling him for in the summer when he was linked with Wolves. And I really thought if we got 20 million for the guy, that's pretty good business for a guy you've brought through your youth team that doesn't really play regular football for you and isn't a starter. 20 million for one of your kind of B team players is pretty darn good. And I would certainly be open to a deal of that figure. And if you look at kind of the way Arsenal have sold recently, and we have to kind of park some of the thoughts and feelings about Ozil and Socrates and Kolasinac, who's obviously on loan now, and Mustafi could still leave. But Emi Martinez came through not came through the youth, but was signed at a very young age, 16, I think, and then did go into the academy and come through. And then we sold him for 17 million quid, obviously, last summer. Maitland-Niles coming through the academy, could sell him for around 20 million pounds. That's positive as well. Balogun, obviously, is a bit of an issue, and we'll still kind of wait and see what happens with that. Nketiah could leave in the summer, and if we can get a decent fee for him with 1 year left on his deal, that'd be, again, another bit of good business by the club. Joe Willock has apparently been made available for loan, and he could then raise his value and maybe be sold in the summer. Reece Nelson is another one who has been on the lips of many players, or rather fans and viewers, about Reece Nelson and whether or not he has a future at the club. But he's got a long-term contract, and if he is going to be sold, we should be able to get a decent fee for him as well. There are differences, and there are kind of positives to this, that Arsenal are not only producing players that are going into the first team like Emil Smith-Rowe and Bukayo Saka, but we are also producing players that we can start making some money from as well. And that is an important part of a football club, is producing players not only that will go into the first team, but also ones that will make you a little bit of dollar here and there. No Sleep says, when you are being constantly played in different positions and not being given a consistent game time, is it any surprise when you are not consistent yourself? It is a very good point. And that's very true. But he doesn't get into Arsenal's midfield. So he's going to take minutes wherever he can. And that will mean his value will be hindered because of that, as with any player that has to deal with that, of course. But I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that we would end up losing him. Mike Hernandez says, true, Tom, but to your point, opinions change. And I think he's been devalued a bit because of the lack of play, the playing time as well. You're absolutely spot on. I think there is, obviously, his value has dropped slightly. He had played for England during this season, which I think would have buoyed it still a bit more. But yes, I still never thought he was worth £30 million. I thought that was still pretty high. 20 million max you're probably talking about now. Thibaut Pest says, Mainsley has got so much potential, technically sound, very fast and athletic, great in one-on-ones. How has it come to this? It's the decline of Mainsley, which has shocked quite a few people, it's fair to say. But it might be the right time for him to move on, turning 24 very soon, I think. And I'll double check that to make sure I'm not wrong, but he is a player that ultimately at 24, he's going to be turning 24 in August of this year. So he's not a youngster anymore, and he needs to be playing regular football, and he can't afford to be sitting on his laurels at a club getting substitute appearances or Europa League appearances. He needs to be playing week in, week out if he is going to achieve the potential that he has, and he's not. No, it's just cola. I'm not going to say a specific brand. Nothing alcoholic, so I've got to go and drive this afternoon. Vinny Eagle says, of course, came on the show. Vinny, massive fan of his in our Discord server. He says, if he cannot get into our midfield in a time where we have struggled and been weak in that part of the midfield, when is he ever going to get in there? Which is a very solid point. If he can't get in now, and we're going to be looking to sign in some quality players, you'd hope in the summer, is he ever going to be able to get into our midfield? That is certainly something to consider. Dilly says, Mainsley is miles better at right back than Bellerin. I don't personally agree with that, but it's not saying that he's bad at right back. He is a very comfortable right back when called upon, but it's not his main position. He's not consistent in that position either. Going forwards doesn't offer you anywhere near as much as Bellerin does. Defensively, probably a little bit better, but Bellerin is certainly improving that, and we saw that against Crystal Palace. But Bellerin is not in the best vein of form right now at all. So should Mainsley get in over Bellerin in the team at right back? Unfortunately, you've got a little kid called Cedric that's going to be keeping him out. So, and he was very poor against Crystal Palace at left back. So his stock's not too high in the Arsenal squad right now. Mr. Joe Kerr says, Ajax, Southampton, Monaco, Lille, and our ideal Leipzig all see fan favourite players as assets, and we should do the same. We're a business, and we should act like it in the transfer window. Ed says it's a positive. The team has played in place that are better than him, and we don't have to carry a 24-year-old who has levelled off. Hope he has a nice career somewhere else. And we could go all day about talking about Mainsley and obviously what we think about him, but in kind of a closing statement, so start getting your next sort of topics to discuss for the rest of the vid. If a good bid comes in for Mainsley, it's one of those players that I look at as expendable. He's a player that I look at as easily replaceable in the squads, and someone that is an asset financially to the club and that you can make money from while his contract is still there. And I think that is certainly something that the club would need to consider if a very sizable bid comes in. So that's kind of the Mainsley side of things done and sorted. Did you see on social media this week? There is, I don't know her name, but there's a very funny video going around of a Spurs fan who puts up the video completely slandering Arsenal because we were pretty poor at the start of the season, pretty darn poor. And obviously now that video has been clipped because Spurs are not doing particularly great. And I want to know your thoughts about this culture on social media and football in general. Of myself, I'm at risk from this. If I say something and it's clipped and put onto online, it can easily go viral, especially now doing huge shows. If me or him say anything during those shows that looks a bit silly sometime later, it can come back to bite you. And I want to know your thoughts around on that and kind of the social impact of it, the mental impact of it on the actual person as well. Like, we know this woman, I don't know her name, is a Spurs fan. And obviously, you know, we all think of Spurs in the footballing sense. But she's also received a hell of a lot of hate and a lot of abuse because of this video going viral, as I'm sure you've seen. Now, I don't see any problem with like the editing of video to add like the laughing stuff over the top because it's quite funny now. But there has been a lot of abuse also on these posts, completely abusing this woman, and it's ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. We can all have a laugh at each other. That's what I think football's there for, is that we can laugh at each other and have a bit of a joke around and stuff, and we can look a bit silly here and there. But as soon as it crosses over, no matter who you support, I find it to be just ridiculous that it's able to be done. And we were having a discussion about kind of the identification around social media. And it's something that we've debated on the channel quite a bit. It's something me and John have talked about. And if you're a Plus member or higher expert and TGT ambassadors, me and John did a show the other week for the experts exclusive content this month, talking about kind of the social impacts, talking about different channels. We mentioned AFTV. We talked about the responsibilities that channels have and how people speak and how people act, and how identification may be something that needs to be attached to accounts, so that if things are said that aren't particularly, they're homophobic or they're derogatory or they're racist, etc., then these people can be held to account for these types of tweets. I mean, you've seen recently that I think it was Martial and there was another player at Manchester United that got racially abused because was it Tuanzebe? I think it was racially abused because of what happened. Because Man United, some fans of Man United, I assume they're United fans, because I don't know why else you would get angry at those two specifically, and tweeted loads of abuse at Martial and Tuanzebe because of what happened in the game against Sheffield United. Now, as an Arsenal fan, it's not coming from the perspective of an Arsenal fan. It's coming from the perspective of a human, that is just unacceptable, that completely unacceptable in any sense of the word. So I want to know your thoughts in kind of the summer thing. This is what this show is here for. Let's talk Arsenal, because it is still talking about Arsenal in terms of the social aspect of being a fan on social media. And I want to get your thoughts on that. These are what we're here to talk about, all the different types of that. Marco says, that's social media for you. If you put yourself out there, you're a target if it all goes wrong. And I'd certainly think that there is an element of you become a target, especially the larger your following is, etc., the more people that watch your videos. And even then, sometimes you get videos that are just very small, as in they're made by someone that hasn't got a huge following, but they're picked up by people that do, and they're picked up by large accounts, and then they are just put out there. And then that person itself, who has never had any attention of the scale that bigger accounts are used to, suddenly gets a torrent of not only abuse, but obviously there'll be some people laughing and positive replies, but they're not the things that people notice. As a content creator, you know that you are harmed more by negative comments than you feel good when people praise you. And that shouldn't be the case, but that is just human nature, is that you certainly pay more attention to the things that are said negatively about you than you do the positive things. Moss52 says, it's toxic, it's not good. It's a really negative side of how we are using our tech and social media, etc. Vinny says, issue is, Tom, we live in a nasty world. If you are going to put yourself out there, it's a sad reality that you will receive abuse from trolls. As a YouTuber, you have to learn to ignore that rubbish. And you certainly do need to learn that. There are, unfortunately, kind of like outlets that obviously will feed off negativity, that produce negativity. And I'm not naming anyone specific, but because there's plenty, there's lots. And it's a win-win situation for that sort of thing, for content that promotes negativity. There's kind of a win-win situation, because you can go two ways with this. Is you can paint yourself out to kind of be this person that's always going to be negative because drama is entertaining. Drama and negativity and slagging people off, etc., entertains a lot of people, and people will tune in to watch that anger, that hatred, that drama, because it is dramorous, and people are drawn to that. But on the other side of things, when things go well, you've also got the other side that now dislike these accounts, absolutely hate these accounts because they're negative and they're the embarrassment to the club, etc. And then you yourself are then going on to something and watching something that you don't like, to let them know that you don't like them, you don't like this, you don't like what they're about. That is not how you should do it at all. Like, if you disagree with something and it's like a point of view that is rational and level-headed, like I hope most of the stuff that we put over here at TGT is that. If you want to put an opinion across saying you disagree with that, but if there is a very, very clear trail of thought on a piece of content, on a radio station, on a TV show, whatever, where the main and sole purpose of his existence is to rile the viewer, rile the person that is listening, the viewer, the reader, the watcher, whatever, the best thing you can do to not help fuel that situation is to not engage with it, is to block it, is to mute it, is to move away from it as feasibly possible. Because, and there are accounts there that will be abusing people. There are accounts out there that will promote abuse of, in an Arsenal perspective, the Arsenal manager, the players, etc. Block them. Just do me a favor and block them. Like, that is all you need to do. And that is what I hope, going back to what we originally talked about, the woman that made the video that's now ironically funny months later, I hope that she is blocking people, and I hope that that is the course of action that she has taken. And I hope that, and actually, what I will call out specifically is, you probably saw our good friend, Mr. Durham. Now, you know who I'm talking about when I say Mr. Durham. We need to come up with a better name, so I don't have to refer to him by name. AD, is that better? AD. Should we just call him AD? We'll go for AD. Then we don't have to actually mention his name. Put out a thing on his radio station saying that Thomas Partey is not even better, or not even in the Premier League's top 10 centre midfielders. Now, I know the idea of that is to get me to talk about it, which I am now doing. But what I saw from the reply of the radio station's tweet was all these people saying, this is rubbish, you don't know what you're talking about, etc., adding a lot of expletives. Go on. That is what they want. That in itself is everything that they could desire, is these people replying. Because more people replying, more people retweeting. I've spoken to this guy. I've called this guy out. I've had DM conversations with him about things I've disagreed with when I was younger, years and years ago. And now I look back on it and I go, I never, ever should have DM'd him. I never should have tweeted him. I never should have replied to it, because that is what they want. That is what they crave. That is what they desire. And whilst it would be a lovely world to live in where there was no longevity attached to it, but unfortunately, when it creates that much drama and it creates that much focus, then it's always going to get the attention that they have been craving for. Let's get your thoughts in the chat box regarding these topics. Ugank says, Tom, you are talking about a wider topic now. It's all about taking one's virtual identity way too seriously. People do take their virtual identities very seriously, extremely seriously, almost to the point where they become that person. They become that character in a way. Moss says you become a target, but it doesn't mean it's right. Exactly. You're spot on, mate, with that. Just because you've put yourself out there, and it's not fair. And content creators, in a way, should be protected by this. Is that just because I might say a point of view about Arsenal that is level-headed, that is well thought through, that isn't abusive, that is either criticism or praise, and it's not done in a way in which it is designed to attract attention. It is purely to put an opinion out, purely to give your say and your view legitimately. Just because I've put it out, does that give people the right to make me a target? Does that give people, is it right that I could be made a target for that opinion because I'm a content creator, etc., etc.? I don't think that because we're on a chat show, we're on a discussion channel, we talk about Arsenal non-stop and football more generally and social media more generally, especially on Let's Talk Arsenal every Tuesday and Friday, that I should necessarily be targeted for stuff. I know that I can be, but is it right that I am at times? It's an interesting point of view to look at. Bulgarian Guna says, oh, there you go. Drago says, this is about the Spurs fan that was chatting, you know what, about us a few months ago. Did she get abused? I've seen lots of abuse, Drago. Yes, it is. And she was talking what I thought was a load of rubbish. I didn't agree with anything that she said. And my response to it would have been, I think that this is rubbish. I didn't reply to it because I thought it was designed, obviously, to attract attention. But what is not right is for the abuse. That she's not been abusive. She's been, what's the right way to describe? It's tried to create a storm in a way, tried to obviously irritate Arsenal fans. But that's I think that's different to what is obviously. I've not watched the full video, so please correct me if I'm wrong. I've only seen the clips that have been put online. But all I've seen is her basically saying, again, I don't know her name, otherwise I would use it. All I see is her just kind of riling up Arsenal fans, which in a way is what rivalries are all about. Yes, provocative. Thank you. That is the perfect word. Thank you. Provocative. Tried to provoke Arsenal fans with what saying the like, you worry about Fulham and all of these guys. It is provocative. And it is designed that way, but I kind of I miss in a way the provocative nature of that, because fandom in general, especially from an Arsenal perspective, has become so introvertedly attacking itself. There's so many civil wars at Arsenal, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's so many civil wars that we've kind of forgotten what it was like to have a little bit of banter with opposition fans. Banter in itself is obviously often thrown up as like a cover for what abuse actually is. And there is a difference between what is banter and what is abuse. There is two different things. In my view, what banter is people having a laugh, people having a bit of a joke. It's not done abusively. It's not using any way that's targeting someone about any kind of their background or personal to them. It's purely about the club they support. It's purely about, in football banter in terms of that, it's purely about kind of riling them up, having a bit of a joke. You've never won a trophy since when? When did you last do this? Like, where are you in the table? Playground stuff. And that's what I kind of miss in a way from football is just that little bit of banter back and forth. Now, I would turn around to that Spurs fan and say that you might want to look behind you and you want to mind the gap because we're coming for you. But I'm not going to turn around and say that you are this and this and this. And because it's ridiculous. If you can't take an opposition fan having a laugh at Arsenal's expense, you probably shouldn't be on social media. Probably not. Ansgar says, I disagree. This is good. We like disagreements. Well, I'll say it's good. We'll see what he says. But I like disagreements. It brings out discussion. Your personal data shouldn't be that public, and companies like Google, etc., already have far much data on individual using their products. I'm sorry, Ansgar, but I disagree with that because you should not be allowed to go onto a public forum unless that your identification is attached to it. And if you are not okay with your public information being attached to that, then you don't use the account. It's as simple as that. And don't use social media. Don't use Twitter. Don't use this. Don't use that. Because when social media started, and I remember when it started, which even as a 26-year-old makes me feel old. I remember when Facebook began and I was at school. No one made a fake account at the start. Like, that was something that came a little bit after, when people realized you could do that. At the start, social media was your name, it was your profile, it was you, it was your virtual self online. And then what came later was people, when they realized they could invent accounts, catfishing, anonymous abusive profiles, I was going to say companies, but not companies, like just brands, I suppose, maybe in a way. If you are not okay with your identity being attached to your social media, then I'm sorry. The only view I have of that is that you yourself feel, I'm not accusing you of this, Ansgar. I'm just saying that if in the long term you are not okay with being identified based upon your social media account, it is because you are afraid of doing something wrong or have done something wrong. That is fact, in my opinion. That it's just, if you are concerned about your identity being attached to a profile, it's because you are concerned that you yourself have or will do something wrong. Otherwise, why else? Because your identity is attached to everything else you use. Your email, your phone, you have your phone, like everything on your phone, your contacts, your messages, your history, everything about you is on your phones and your tablets and your computers. And they can access stuff through that. That is all accessible. But when it comes to social media, all of a sudden there's oh no, I'm not sure. I don't really want to put my identity to that because I'm scared. And if you don't think they already don't have your everything about you, then I think it's naive to think. We will carry on with the discussion very quickly, though. I do want to address the fact that I need to hand out the free tickets to tonight's draw for the signed Thierry Henry shirt. So members, let me just check how many. We have 23 applicants this evening from the members on the Discord server. Of course, if you would like to join up and become a member and get access to the Discord server and access to a free ticket, a possible free ticket for our draw, tonight's prize is a authenticated, certificate approved, signed Thierry Henry shirt. And so we will be now drawing out the number. And we'll do this the same way every time. I press the generate button 5 times, and on the 5th number, the 5th person will be getting the free ticket into tonight's draw. Let me just check what number you'll be getting. So I've had that discussion. They will be getting number. Actually, I'll tell you afterwards, after we find out who it's got. In fact, I might just message them privately. I think that's probably best if I just message them privately afterwards, which is no problem at all. Here we go. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so let's press this 5 times, and whoever's 5th gets the free ticket. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 14 is the number, and that is Ed. It's easy. Ed, who is in the chat box right now, which is awesome. Congratulations, Ed. You have won a free ticket into the Thierry Henry draw. So make sure you are staying tuned. It does have worldwide shipping, so you can win, and it will go to you wherever you are. I will let you know privately on the Discord, Ed, that you what number you are in the draw, that you'll be able to make sure, and I'll send you the link to their Facebook page. The draw is being conducted on Football Prizes' website. And it's 14. How great is that? Thierry Henry as the number. Yeah, that's unbelievably. It's written in the stars, mate. It is written in the stars. Fingers crossed. Number 14. It is sold out, so there is a 1 in 99 chance. You could have bought more than one ticket to better your chances. But that's unbelievable, isn't it? Number 14 comes out. That's absolutely brilliant. Well done, Ed. There you go, son. The only thing I ever won was a pig-shaped water bottle at a state fair. This is better. I mean, you haven't won anything yet. You've just won the ticket. But fingers crossed, number 14, whatever number it is that comes out in the actual draw, I'll send you the information after the show is finished, and you can get access to that free ticket. But yeah, congratulations, Ed. We've got 5 more minutes before we're going to wrap up because sorry, the show's finishing earlier than it does usually. But of course, the next week's show, next week's Friday show, as always, we reveal who wins the free ticket. On Tuesday's show, I'll be telling you all about the new prize for next week, which is more retro. I'm thinking maybe an Arsenal back line that you remember might be coming up very soon in a prize show. I'm not sure if that's the next one, but it is certainly one that is coming up. The last 5 minutes, I did want to dedicate also to the fantasy, which, of course, if you have not joined our fantasy league, please make sure you do. The code is in the description, so please make sure you check it out and you are on the fantasy side of things. So let's see what's going on now. At the top of the fantasy league at the moment is Fuawa. Adam is still top. He was top last week. He's smashing it. He is a good 42 points ahead of the next placed position person. Now, I have not seen. I had a really good week this week. You may have seen from watching Hugh Izzy's watch along that I was getting quite excited about some of the fantasy stuff going on. I had a pretty good week this week. I had Gundogan, Cancelo, and Sterling as captain in my team, so I got quite a few points as well as Lacazette up top, which I was very pleased about. Who else in my team did quite well? I don't know. I'll show you in a second. Anyway, I am now 66th. I've gone up 22 places. I'm coming for you guys. And there's a good 200 odd people in the league. Let me just check how many people. Who's last? Who is last? I love that Danny is still 3 points off last. He got 12 points this week. Come on. What is Danny's team? Who is in Danny's? Wow, Danny. That is a horrifically bad team. I mean, I can see why you're there. I mean, he's got Wilshere, who hasn't played. I don't think Danny's paying too much attention to this league, if I'm honest. If it is, in fact, Danny. I'm sure it is, Danny. But of the 247 people that are in, let's have a look at my team this week. I did pretty well. I got 82 points, which is pretty darn good this week. Lacazette smashed it for me. Tierney came off the bench and got me 2 extra. Smith Rowe came off the bench to get me 2 extra points. Castagna went in. Antonio did well. As I say, it was mainly from the Man City trio that got me most of my points. I thought Gundogan might be a good pick for penalties because as Kevin De Bruyne is out. And it paid off, not for penalties, just in general. Absolutely fantastic stuff. And in January, if we have a look at January, I am, at the moment, 6th. I am the 6th out of 247 of you for the form table of January. That's pretty darn good. I'm having a very good January at 299 points so far. I'm not decided on my changes yet. I'm going to do them in the morning for the week. But yes, I wonder if you are, in fact, in the fantasy league, then let me know where you are at because I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Tell me where you are on the table. Dan, Robert, I know that you're always a big fantasy fan. Let me know what position you are currently in right now. Is your team like party time or something? I'm pretty sure you're 44th. Let's have a look. Overall, going down to 44. Ready to party. 58 points this week. I mean, it's not bad. It's not Canton, though. It's not Canton levels right now. I mean, did anyone actually get higher than 82 this week? I'm looking. No one in the top 50 higher than 82. Can we go any higher in this lot? No. Oh, this is getting good. Have I got the highest amount of points of any player in the whole of the TGT league? I am going to be absolutely buzzing if that is the case. Scrolling. Still nothing higher than 82. Still going. 65. No. 70. Still no 80s. Oh, this is unbelievable. 94. Whoever it is, the bottom... Whoever is second last, it's got 94 points. I got the second highest. That's so muggy. Whoever came second last in the whole of the league. Who did they have? They had Mane as captain. Wow, that is unbelievable. And Trent, and Laka, and Firmino, and Tielemans. Wow, you are unbelievable. How is that possible? And like you clearly are making changes and subs. Like you must be playing and you're horrific. Who are you anyway? What's your team? Oh, I'm really slacking you off here. Is it Ansgaard? It's Ansgaard. For For goodness sake, Ansgar. No! Oh, that's so annoying. So annoying that Ansgar, who disagrees with me all the time, has mugged me right off. Unbelievable. You are terrible, Ansgar, in fantasy in general. And this week you've smashed it. I don't get it. How have you done that? How have you joined last week? Okay, that might make more sense. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Oh, dearie me. Fair play, mate. Fair play. Your highest points tally of everyone this week. So congratulations. You beat me. I was second out of 247 players. That is so annoying. That is so irritating. Anyway, I've got to shoot off now, guys. Absolute pleasure speaking to you as always. I will see you tomorrow, straight after the game for Raw Reactions. I will be joining Hugh, I assume, unless there's any last-minute changes, for the watch-along. So make sure you join in for that. If you could drop a like on the video, I'd really appreciate it this evening. We talked about a lot of heavy and real topics, which I'm sure there'll be plenty of talk about in the comment section. So leave your thoughts and feelings in the comment section below. But other than that, it's been a pleasure to speak to you. As always, you can check out the show I did with Kevin Campbell earlier on today as well. But other than that, it's an absolute pleasure as always. Make sure you tune in at 8:30 on Football Prizes to find out if you have in fact won. Ed, I'll be sending you the information to your ticket very, very shortly. I will see you again very, very soon. And as always, the Arsenal.